I visited an allergist who discovered that not only did I not have asthma, but that the blockage was physical. It wasn't in the lungs, it was in the trachea. And it was at that point that he referred me to an ENT doctor, and I had a CT scan with contrast, and we were finally able to see that there's something in the airway. From there, I had a series of dilation procedures, first laser and then balloon, all with the intention of scoring or popping the scar tissue to get it to recede back to the walls of the trachea. I had those dilations every 6 weeks to 3 months, and at some point it just wasn't sustainable anymore. It didn't feel like much of a life to be constantly in and out of day surgery. So I had a great doc at Stanford, Edward Damrose, who was just kind and gentle and forthcoming, and he recommended that I see Dr. Mathieson in Boston to see if I was a good candidate for a surgery called a cricotracheal resection. So Dr. Mathieson took my case, and I was a candidate for the surgery and had a successful resection done in 2008. And a resection is where they, in the crudest explanation possible, they cut out the damaged part of the scar, the damaged part of the trachea where the scar tissue grows, and do an anastomosis, which is a flap, basically sew your trachea back together, a little shorter. So then I spent 7 days with my chin stitched to my chest in a tether, so I was like this all the time, to stabilize the area and allow the sutures to heal. The resection procedure is pretty intense. It's about 8 hours in the OR, and then an overnight in ICU, and then a week in the hospital after that. I just think it's been a balance between Western medicine and holistic medicine. I have defied the odds every step of the way. In this thing that's horrible, I always have the best case scenario. And I had my last dilation procedure in 2014. It was so 2008 I had the resection, 2 years of great breathing, scar tissue started growing back. I lived with it as a new normal, but the new normal kind of sucked. In 2014 I said enough's enough, let's go have a dilation. I waited so long because I was afraid that it was going to be like before and I would be having them every 3 months, and I just couldn't do it. So I used food and meditation to help prolong the time between when I needed surgery. So now the last one was 2014. Dr. Mathieson said, you know, you may need another dilation in about 3 months. And I said, no more surgery right now, I just can't do it. So I meditated every day faithfully, and have been a daily meditator for the last several years at the urging of my sister. And with the help of meditation, the foods we eat, the thoughts we think, and when I say we, I mean me and my partner, my husband Cliff, we've extended this thing out 2 years instead of 3 months. That feels pretty incredible. I'm at the point now to where if I could get on the table tomorrow, I'd do it. When it starts to get hard just to dry off out of the shower or walk down the driveway, I get to the point where I'm like, okay, you know, we pushed it as long as we could, and now it's time for something to change. So after taking to the internet, which I think most of us do when we get a diagnosis or are looking for a diagnosis, I found that there was a Yahoo group at the time full of mostly women. This condition happens to mostly women in the idiopathic form, meaning there are some men that have it, but they have explained trauma to the neck in some way. Maybe they were intubated and scar tissue started to form, or some other trauma led to, and they know why they have this narrowing in their airway. But most of the group and most of the people with this condition are women who don't know the root cause. So I found this Yahoo group, and for the first time in years, I felt seen and supported in incredible ways. There was a woman, when I was thinking about getting the resection, there was a woman who said, make sure they put the arterial line in after you're asleep. Ask them to wait to do that. And it was things like that at the time that seemed so small, but were huge in making sure that I was more comfortable. I think in any kind of procedure, when you become a brave little pincushion and you're getting poked and prodded from every direction, any amount of help is good. And for anybody who's ever had an arterial line, you'll know it's not fun, it's not comfortable, and yeah, wait until they put you under. Another woman from the group came to see me in the hospital, and that group lives on today, but just now on Facebook. It's a secret group for people who have tracheal stenosis or people who are advocates, supporters of those of us who have this going on. So look it up, it's worth your time. You will feel incredibly loved and seen. Once I was even in a doctor's appointment in Houston, and I walked up to the counter to check in, and I said my name, and a woman sitting in the waiting room walked up to me and said, "Oh my God, Lacy, I'm in the Facebook group. It's so good to meet you. I've been so moved by your sharing," and we just had this immediate connection. I thought, in all the world, this incredibly rare thing, and somebody knows me and has benefited from sharing our stories back and forth together. It was a really incredible moment.